Why most seniors don't make it to 85, the 6 hidden mistakes that slowly kill. Hey there, my friends. Pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, or maybe a glass of sweet tea if you're like me, and let's have a heart-to-heart. I'm not here to lecture or preach. I'm just an old soul, pushing 90, who's seen a lot, learned a lot, and made my fair share of mistakes along the way. I've buried friends, watched loved ones fade too soon, and somehow, by the grace of God and a bit of stubbornness, I'm still here, sharing my story with you. Today, I want to talk about something heavy, but so important. Why so many of us don't make it to 85. Now, I know that sounds grim, but stick with me. This isn't about scaring you. It's about shining a light on the hidden mistakes that creep into our lives, quietly chipping away at our health, our joy, and our time. These are the things nobody talks about at the doctor's office or over Sunday dinner, but they're the silent culprits that steal years from us. I've seen it happen to folks I loved, and I've fought tooth and nail to avoid them myself. So, why should you listen to me? Well, I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm just someone who's lived long enough to notice patterns, to see what works and what doesn't. I've raised kids, grandkids, and even great-grandkids. I've laughed through good times and cried to the hard ones. And I've learned that living at 85 or even 90 like me isn't just about luck. It's about choices. Small, everyday choices that add up over time. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 hidden mistakes that I believe are slowly killing too many seniors. These aren't the obvious things like smoking or skipping doctor visits. These are the sneaky habits, the overlooked decisions that build up over years and rob us of the long, vibrant life we deserve. For each one, I'll share stories from my own life or the lives of people I've known, and I'll give you practical, down-to-earth advice on how to avoid these traps. My hope is that by the end of this, you'll feel empowered to make a few changes. Nothing drastic, just enough to keep you dancing at your grandkids' weddings or tending your garden well into your golden years. Before we dive in, let me say this. You're not alone on this journey. Whether you're in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, you've got wisdom, strength, and a whole lot of life left to live. So, let's talk about how to make the most of it. Ready? Let's get started. Mistake number 1. Ignoring the power of connection. Let's start with something that's close to my heart, connection. Or, more specifically, the lack of it. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen seniors make is letting their world shrink. They stop reaching out, stop making new friends, stop showing up to the coffee shop or the church potluck. And I get it. Life gets busy, or maybe you're tired, or maybe you've lost people you love, and it feels easier to stay home. But let me tell you, isolation is a slow poison. Back in my 60s, I went through a rough patch. My wife, God rest her soul, had just passed, and I felt like the world had lost its color. I stopped going to the VFW meetings, stopped calling my buddies for poker night. I'd sit in my recliner, watching reruns of MASH Asterisk, and tell myself I was fine. But I wasn't. My blood pressure spiked, I couldn't sleep, and I felt this heaviness I couldn't shake. It wasn't until my daughter dragged me to a community barbecue that I realized how much I'd been starving for connection. That day, I laughed for the first time in months, and it was like a weight lifted off my chest. Science backs this up, you know? Studies from places like Harvard say that strong social ties can add years to your life, sometimes more than diet or exercise. Loneliness, on the other hand, is as bad for you as smoking a pack a day. It raises your stress hormones, weakens your immune system, and makes your heart work harder. I saw it happen to my old friend Joe. He was a widower, lived alone, and after he retired, he just faded, stopped coming to our fishing trips, stopped answering the phone. By the time we realized how bad it was, he was gone. Heart attack at 72. I can't help but think that if he'd had more people in his corner, he might still be here. So, how do you avoid this mistake? Start small. Call an old friend, even if it's just a chat for 5 minutes. Join a book club, a gardening group, or a walking club at the YMCA. If you're not sure where to start, check out your local senior center. Most towns have one, and they've got everything from bingo nights to Tai Chi classes. And don't be afraid to make new friends. I met one of my best pals, Charlie, at 82, when we bonded over our love of Johnny Cash at a music night. Connection keeps your heart beating in more ways than one. Mistake number 2, neglecting your mind. Next up, let's talk about your brain. Too many folks think that once you hit 50 or 60, your mind's just supposed to slow down, like it's a car running out of gas. That's nonsense. Your brain is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it gets weaker. And I'm not talking about dementia or Alzheimer's, though those are real concerns. I'm talking about the slow, sneaky decline that comes from not challenging your mind. I'll never forget my neighbor, Martha. She was sharp as a tack in her 50s, always reading mystery novels or doing crossword puzzles. But when she retired, she stopped. She said she just wanted to relax. So she spent her days watching soap operas and game shows. By her late 70s, she was struggling to remember names or follow a conversation. It broke my heart to see her fade like that. Now, compare that to my cousin Ed. He's 87, still does Sudoku every morning, takes online history courses, and even started learning Spanish at 80. His mind is as quick as ever, and he's got this spark that lights up a room. The research on this is clear. Keeping your brain active can delay cognitive decline and even lower your risk of dementia. Things like learning a new skill, playing an instrument, or even doing puzzles can build what scientists call cognitive reserve. Basically, a backup system for your brain. I started playing chess with my grandson when I was 75, and let me tell you, it's humbling to get outsmarted by a teenager, but it keeps me sharp. I also read every day biographies, mostly, because I love learning about people who've overcome the odds. Here's what you can do. Find something that excites you. Maybe it's learning to cook Italian food, taking up knitting, or signing up for a free online course through a site like Coursera. If you're not tech savvy, start with something simple like a jigsaw puzzle or a daily crossword. And don't be afraid to fail. When I tried painting at 80, my landscapes looked like a toddler's finger art, but I had a blast and it got my brain firing. The key is to keep learning, keep growing. Your mind deserves it. Mistake number 3, moving less, living less. All right, let's talk about moving your body. I know. Nobody wants to hear about exercise when you're dealing with creaky knees or a bad back. But here's the truth. One of the biggest mistakes seniors make is thinking they don't need to stay active. They say, I'm too old for that, or I've earned a rest. But sitting still isn't rest. It's a one-way ticket to a weaker body and a shorter life. I learned this the hard way. In my 70s, I got lazy. I'd always been a walker, used to hike the trails near my house every weekend. But after a minor surgery, I started making excuses. Too tired, too cold, too busy. Within a year, I gained 20 pounds. My blood sugar was creeping up, and I could barely climb the stairs without huffing. My doctor sat me down and said, "You're not old, you're out of shape." That was a wake-up call. I started walking again, just 10 minutes a day at first. Now, at 90, I walk a mile every morning, and I feel better than I did at 70. Compare that to my old coworker, Bill. He retired at 65, bought a recliner, and barely left it. By 75, he needed a cane, and by 80, he was in a nursing home. Inactivity didn't just weaken his muscles. It hurt his heart, his lungs, everything. Studies show that regular movement, nothing crazy, just walking or stretching, can cut your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even some cancers. It also keeps your bones strong and your mood up. Ever notice how good you feel after a walk in the park? That's not an accident. You don't need a gym membership or a personal trainer. Start with what you can do. Walk around your neighborhood. Do chair yoga. There are tons of free videos on YouTube. Or try gardening. I swear, pulling weeds is a workout. If you've got grandkids, chase them around the backyard. And listen to your body. If something hurts, talk to your doctor, but don't use it as an excuse to stop. Movement is medicine, plain and simple. Mistake number 4, eating for comfort, not for life. Now, let's get to the kitchen. Food is one of life's great joys, and I'm not here to tell you to give up your mom's apple pie or your Friday night pizza. But one mistake I see too many seniors make is eating for comfort instead of eating for life. Processed food, sugary snacks, and oversized portions sneak into our diets, and over time, they do serious damage. I used to be guilty of this. In my 60s, I leaned hard on convenience foods, frozen dinners, chips, soda. It was easy, especially after long days. But by my 70s, I was battling high cholesterol and prediabetes. My doctor told me point blank, "You're eating yourself into an early grave." That hit hard. I started cooking more simple stuff like grilled chicken and steamed veggies. I swapped soda for water and chips for almonds. It wasn't about dieting. It was about fueling my body. Today, I feel better and my numbers are solid. Contrast that with my friend Clara. She loved her sweets, cookies, ice cream, you name it. She'd say, "I'm old, let me enjoy life." But by 78, she had type 2 diabetes, and the complications took her at 81. It's not about never having dessert. It's about balance. The American Heart Association says a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins can add years to your life. Too much sugar and processed junk, though, spikes your blood sugar, clogs your arteries, and fuels inflammation. Here's how to avoid this trap. Focus on real food. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store, produce meat, dairy, instead of the middle aisles full of packaged stuff. Try new recipes. I discovered I love roasted Brussels sprouts at 85. Who knew? Eat smaller portions and savor your meals. Turn off the TV and enjoy your food like it's a ritual. And if you're not sure where to start, talk to a nutritionist or check out free resources online, like the USDA's My Plate for older adults. Your body will thank you. Mistake number 5, skimping on sleep. Sleep is another big one. I used to think sleep was for the young. Burn the candle at both ends, right? But as I got older, I realized that skimping on sleep is like running your car on empty. It's a hidden mistake that wears you down, body and soul. In my 70s, I had terrible sleep habits. I'd stay up late watching Letterman, then toss and turn, worrying about bills or my kids. By morning, I was groggy, irritable, and my memory wasn't what it used to be. I thought it was just old age, but my doctor set me straight. Poor sleep was raising my blood pressure and messing with my brain. Once I started prioritizing sleep, going to bed at the same time, cutting out late-night coffee, keeping my room dark and quiet, I felt like a new man. Compare that to my buddy Frank. He prided himself on needing only 4 hours of sleep. He'd brag about it like it made him tough. But by his late 70s, he was forgetful, depressed, and had a stroke that took him out at 80. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. The National Sleep Foundation says older adults need 7 to 9 hours a night, just like younger folks. Skimp on it, and you're raising your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even Alzheimer's. Here's what worked for me. Set a bedtime routine. Maybe it's reading a book, sipping chamomile tea, or doing a quick stretch. Keep your bedroom for sleep, no phones, no TV. If you're struggling, talk to your doctor. Sometimes meds or health issues mess with sleep, and they can help. Good sleep is like a reset button for your body. Don't cheat yourself out of it. Mistake number 6, giving up on purpose. Last but not least, let's talk about purpose. This is the big one, the mistake that ties everything else together. Too many seniors stop dreaming, stop setting goals, stop believing they have something to offer. They think, "I've done my part, now I'll just coast." But let me tell you, coasting is dangerous. Without purpose, you lose the spark that keeps you going. I saw this with my brother, Tom. He retired at 62, moved to Florida, and planned to relax for the rest of his life. But without a job, hobbies, or goals, he got bored. He stopped taking care of himself, stopped engaging with the world. He passed at 74, and I believe it was because he lost his why. Compare that to my friend Ruth, who's 92 and still volunteers at the local library, teaching kids to read. She's got aches and pains, but her eyes sparkle because she knows she's making a difference. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It can be tending your garden, mentoring a young person, or writing your life story for your grandkids. Studies, like one from the Journal of Gerontology, show that having a sense of purpose lowers your risk of depression, heart disease, and even early death. For me, purpose is staying involved, whether it's playing cards with my buddies, helping at church, or making videos like this to share what I've learned. How do you find purpose? Reflect on what lights you up. Maybe it's a hobby you've always wanted to try, like photography, or a cause you care about, like animal rescue. Volunteer, even if it's just an hour a week. Or set a small goal, like walking a 5K or learning to bake bread. Purpose is what gets you out of bed in the morning, and it's the secret to a long, happy life. Well, my friends, we've covered a lot of ground today. I've shared 6 hidden mistakes that I've seen steal years from too many seniors. Ignoring connection, neglecting your mind, moving less, eating for comfort, skimping on sleep, and giving up on purpose. Each one is a sneaky trap, but the good news is you have the power to avoid them. You don't need to overhaul your life. Just make small, intentional changes, one step at a time. I want you to imagine yourself at 85 or even 90 like me. Picture yourself laughing with your grandkids, tending your flowers, or sharing stories with old friends. That's not a pipe dream. It's within your reach. But it starts with the choices you make today. Reach out to a friend. Try a new hobby. Take a walk. Eat a little healthier. Get some rest. And never, ever stop believing you have something beautiful to offer this world. I'm so grateful you spent this time with me. If this video touched you, please give a thumbs up, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to the channel for more stories and wisdom from this old heart. Drop a comment below. Tell me one small change you're going to make to live a longer, healthier life. I read every one, and I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care of yourself. You're worth it. And as my grandma used to say, keep going, keep growing, and keep loving. God bless you all.